Microsoft is selling Xbox. If you've spent even 5 minutes on social media recently, you've probably seen thumbnails showing Phil Spencer crying or giant red letters announcing the death of Xbox. But here's the thing. Yes, Microsoft is going through one of the biggest internal shakeups in Xbox history, but that doesn't automatically mean Xbox is disappearing. To understand what's really happening, we need to go back to June 10th. According to reports, Xbox executive Asha Sharma sent an internal memo to employees outlining the division's current financial challenges and the need for significant changes. While Microsoft has not publicly released this document, multiple outlets have reported on its contents. If those reports accurately reflect the memo, they paint a picture of a business that can no longer operate the way it has for the past decade. Xbox is reportedly operating with an internal profit margin of roughly 3%. That means that for every $100 generated by Microsoft's gaming division, only about $3 remain as operating profit. For many businesses, that might sound acceptable. For Microsoft, a company whose cloud and enterprise software divisions enjoy dramatically higher margins, that number is alarmingly low. The next figure is investment. Excluding the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft is said to have invested more than $20 billion over the past 5 years into game development, platform expansion, studio acquisitions, and hardware subsidies. The expectation was simple: spend aggressively today to dominate tomorrow. But according to the reported figures, annual gaming revenue has actually declined by roughly $500 million during that same period. Now, investing heavily before seeing long-term returns isn't unusual. Amazon did it. Netflix did it, Tesla did it. The difference is that investors eventually expect those investments to produce meaningful growth. If growth slows while spending continues, executives begin asking difficult questions. And that leads to the last point. The current model isn't considered financially sustainable anymore. Bloomberg has reported that Microsoft is preparing another round of layoffs affecting its gaming division, with additional studio restructuring expected. Nothing has been officially announced regarding specific studios, and reports naming individual teams remain speculative. However, the broader direction appears clear. Microsoft intends to reduce costs and demand stronger financial performance across Xbox. Only a few days after those reports emerged, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella reinforced the company's broader philosophy during an interview. He reminded audiences that Microsoft has supported gaming for decades, long before Xbox even existed, with franchises like Flight Simulator. No one can realistically argue that Microsoft hasn't invested heavily in gaming. The issue isn't commitment, the issue is sustainability. For years, Xbox benefited from Microsoft's enormous profits in Azure, Windows, and Office. It was a strategy focused on growth rather than immediate profitability. This doesn't mean Game Pass has failed, nor does it mean Xbox lacks successful franchises. Minecraft remains one of the best-selling games ever created. Call of Duty continues generating billions annually. Candy Crush produces enormous mobile revenue. World of Warcraft, Sea of Thieves, and Forza all contribute meaningful income. Xbox's problem isn't a lack of successful games, it's the enormous cost of maintaining nearly 40 internal studios while funding projects that may take 6, 7, or even 8 years before generating revenue. Managing that many teams efficiently has become increasingly difficult. Recent years have already shown Microsoft's willingness to close studios when projects fail to meet expectations. That trend may not be over. This is the scenario dominating YouTube thumbnails. It's also the least realistic. Selling Xbox outright would require finding a buyer capable of acquiring one of the largest gaming businesses on Earth. After spending nearly $70 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard alone, Microsoft's gaming division represents an asset of enormous value. Very few companies could realistically afford such a purchase. Even fewer could survive the inevitable regulatory scrutiny. A complete sale appears highly unlikely. A more realistic possibility would involve selling individual studios or intellectual properties rather than the Xbox ecosystem itself. Another option would involve turning Xbox into a publicly traded company. Microsoft could distribute shares to existing investors or launch an initial public offering. This approach has historical precedent. eBay famously separated PayPal into an independent public company. However, these transactions are extraordinarily complex. Preparing financial statements, satisfying regulators, restructuring corporate governance, and completing the legal process can take years. Even if Microsoft wanted to pursue this path, it would almost certainly be a long-term project rather than an immediate solution. Another possibility involves bringing in an outside investor. Instead of Microsoft carrying the entire financial burden of developing future hardware, another technology company could share both the investment and the risk. This wouldn't necessarily mean giving up control. Ubisoft recently followed a similar strategy by creating a separate entity containing several of its biggest franchises while Tencent acquired a minority stake. Microsoft could theoretically pursue a comparable structure if it believed outside capital would accelerate Xbox's long-term plans. This is widely considered the most realistic scenario. Xbox would become its own standalone company while remaining entirely owned by Microsoft. Think of it as giving Xbox its own management, financial reporting, and operational independence. Microsoft already operates several businesses this way. The biggest advantage? Transparency. Xbox would have to justify every investment and demonstrate profitability without relying on Microsoft's broader corporate structure. For players, almost nothing would change. Games, Game Pass, hardware, and services would continue operating as usual. So, is Microsoft about to abandon Xbox? Based on everything currently known, probably not. What's far more likely is something much less dramatic, but potentially far more important. Xbox appears to be entering a new phase, a phase where profitability matters more than market share. The real question isn't whether Xbox survives, it's what kind of Xbox emerges from this transformation. Even if Microsoft perfectly restructures Xbox, there's another challenge that affects the entire console industry. Hardware is becoming dramatically more expensive to manufacture. According to reports, Xbox's internal component costs, particularly storage, have risen significantly over recent years. At the same time, global demand for advanced semiconductors has exploded. So, do you think making Xbox a more independent business will strengthen the brand? Or is this the first step toward Microsoft's gradual exit from the console hardware market? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more industry analysis, and I'll see you in the next one.